Patty, Kirk, thanks so much for joining me for this introduction to speakers. We've got some questions for you, some very serious questions, some less so serious. If I was to ask you guys straight off the bat to summarize fact, focused acceptance and commitment therapy in 3 words only each, and you can't copy each other, Patty, do you want to go first?
Sure. I would say compassion in action.
Ooh, okay, nice. I like that. Yeah, it's a beautiful way to summarize it. Okay, over to you, Kirk.
Curiosity,
Yeah,
non-judgment.
yeah. Oh, those are 3 words, I guess, right? Are they 3 words? Yeah. Okay, great.
Got a hyphen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's an economical use of words. Oh, that's cool too. I love curiosity as a thing to land in the model of a in the middle of a model. And it reminds me of your 5 facets of mindfulness book.
3.5 words, then I would say genuine.
Okay, there we go. Genuine. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I like that as well. It's a really nice one. What springs to your mind into mind when you say this is what fact is absolutely tailor-made for? Patty.
Anything.
Oh, sorry, Kirk.
Well,
Anything. Okay.
oh, and I guess I would come in and say, too, I mean, it's just a fact way of thinking that we say things like fact is for problems of living, fact is for stress, fact is for, helping you live your best life. Now, if we want to get into categories, I would probably say anxiety, depression, relationships in general, family kinds of issues. I think it works well. Lifestyle, yeah. The overall structure of fact applies to most anything I think a person is facing in their life in that moment. It can be helpful. Not that other therapies might not be also useful to augment, but fact at the front door, that's kind of the right door for people.
Yeah, yeah, I would totally agree with that. I think a standout feature to me is also uh, all human conditions where we need something to happen quickly, where we need things to be rapidly addressed and asked about, and where I think for most of us mere mortals, we don't necessarily always have time to luxuriate in 20 to 30 therapy sessions. Great if that's available. Sometimes it's nice to be focused and punchy.
I was just reading an article yesterday, Joe, in your area, which was called An Ultra Brief Intervention for Psychosis by Martin Turnberg, I think it is.
Yeah, yeah.
So you'd think even things that shouldn't be amenable to brief interventions actually are.
Mm.
That's what I meant when I said anything. It's
Yeah. Well, exactly. I did my time on working on inpatient wards, and it was often there were just such fleeting conversations that I had playing pool with people, and that would be a session, as it were, and so nice to be able to have those be useful conversations, but also tight and focused and useful to people. Yeah, absolutely. Patty, if you were to imagine Kirk coming into a training session and there was a song blaring, like a little bit like kind of WWF wrestling, his kind of power song. Um, what would it be? What would you imagine it would be?
We are the revolution, something like that.
Okay. Nice. All right. I like that. It feels it's harking back to some hippie days maybe, but
Yeah. We've been around a while. Lots of music, yeah.
I might be White Rabbit by the Jefferson Airplane.
okay, right. Yeah, yeah. That's a good song too. And why particularly would you choose that one?
If you've ever listened to White Rabbit, you know that it's all about perspective taking.
Okay. All right. That makes sense. Yeah. Um, and similarly, Kirk, what's Patty's song for training? She's coming to training, music's blaring. What's her
Who let the dogs out?
and why particularly why that one?
This lady knows how to train and she's there to do it on a mission.
Okay. Yeah. I get
Yeah.
that. Yeah, yeah. I've seen you train, Patty, and I would agree with that. That's yeah, it's It's certainly a sense of energy that goes along with that song, and you definitely bring that to training sessions too, and push people and invigorate, which I really love. What would you say? Say if someone was starting out, I don't know, they're kind of toe in the water to fact, right?
I have a saying I use with people that I think puts them at ease.
Mm,
Practice doesn't make perfect. Practice makes permanent.
right. Yeah. That's a nice way to put it. It's sort
You
of,
will, you will never be perfect at anything. What you
yeah.
can do is strive for a solid base of skills
Hmm.
and then strive to continue to improve on that base
Hmm.
over the course of your career.
Yeah. Yeah. Great. It's a nice way to look at it. It certainly strips out some of those leanings towards perfectionism and meeting high standards. I think for me gets in the way of when I enter into something new or into training, feeling I have to hit some high ideal.
I would say be curious, and I think start with what fits with you, what kind of fills in a gap,
Mm,
uh, what interests you. I don't think you have to kind of like convert to fact and say fact is the only thing I ever do.
mm,
Uh, Although I think that many people move in that direction pretty quickly
mm,
with training. But I think when you're first starting out, it's just be curious. I think people they come to trainings like this because uh, they want to be better at
mm,
their work and whatever their job is. They want to have more success with more people.
mm,
And that's why we're all in it. So be curious about what you think kind of is going to be helpful with the people you serve and kind of complement the tools in your toolkit right now. Add
mm,
more as you go along,
mm,
practice. Find somebody else. I think a learning partner is so good when you're trying something new.
mm.
I don't know. I saw a poem, I think yesterday, Rumi poem. This is the highest form of learning is unlearning. Isn't that, you know, yeah. But we don't go to training to unlearn something, right?
Typically not, right? Yeah. Yeah, yeah. That's curious. It does make me think. It's always an interesting process going to training because I sort of like I don't usually go with that intention, and yet there kind of is often like, as I'm holding in my particular way of doing things, and I'm listening to new ways of doing things, there is a sort of an invitation to unlearn in a way, or do something different to what I might routinely or habitually do, which is scary, I find, and exciting sometimes too. What would you say, from a fact perspective and your own personal therapy perspective, what would you say is your kind of like your key go-to for managing that kind of dilemma or ambivalence or worry when people come to you and want to make changes but don't want to make changes?
I think it's a purposeful kind of behavior. It's functioning in some way to help that person.
Mm,
Uh, Maybe not a big helper, but a helper. So I I think I try to approach with respect and um, interest in how that developed and how it's working for the person. I think kindness is always something that kind of softens resistance if we're kind and we stay kind of in a level kind of playing field with a person. Um, that sense of resistance doesn't grow, but something else kind of grows instead, which is kind of like kind of relief that they don't have much to resist that we're offering that is
hmm.
promoting resistance. So
Hmm.
don't feed it. Um, Kind of be kind with it.
Mm,
What's
yeah,
possible. Yeah.
I like the sound of that. Yeah. Kirk,
I
what would
think
you add?
everything the client does is perfect. It's a perfect example of what they do. So it isn't something that has to be judged or categorized. It simply is observed and described. And, the measurement is, how is that working for you?
Mm-hmm.
Taking that posture, which is completely understandable. From just a technical standpoint, there's just a simple mantra that you can always follow, and that is think small and accumulate positives.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a point at which the client isn't going to be resistant. It may be way, way smaller than where you are at, but there's usually something a client is willing to do that is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to find that level, because it isn't about the magnitude of the change. It's about having the client experience something as a success.
Mm-hmm.
And success grows agency, success grows self-efficacy.
Mm-hmm.
So people that are resistant usually have a very low sense of agency.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, they don't feel like they're empowered in their own lives to make changes, and so they protect themselves by not trying or refusing or yes butting, or so it's a perfect point of entry when a person engages in those behaviors. That's what I mean. This is perfect for what we do.
Yeah, got it. Yeah, absolutely. There's a good a microcosm there of what happens with a person just right in front of you. Yeah, it makes me think. I've just had an image of playing football with my son, and just he's just sort of learning kicking a ball around, just some of those small micro kind of skills he's learning, and just his kind of his delight at getting them, and when they kind of work, he just loves it. It's just so funny, just fascinating watching those small kind of things, and I think that's a little bit of what you're saying, just capturing those small changes.
And if you were a dad and you said, "Hey, you didn't bend it like Beckham, let's do it again,"
Right. That's not going to go down so well.
that's what a lot of our clients listen to.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
They were kids and being raised, and
That have had.
they lost agency along the way.
You're both going to a desert island on your own, and you get to choose one act metaphor that you can bring with you. What's that one act metaphor you get to take to the desert island?
Yeah,
It's my way of asking what your favorite act metaphor is.
yeah, right now I'm just having a lot of fun exploring the life path, and I've come up with a different kind of handout and some new teaching points around that. And they reflect the science about what we're learning about willingness, acceptance, and how it differs from avoidance.
Mm.
And so I like that right now because it also the things that I'm putting into that as creating kind of a one pager to help people learn this intervention. It's really fun to do a lot of present moment
Mm.
kind of work with the life path. And, rather than drawing a life path for them, I'm
Mm.
having, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with it, making it very experiential. It's always been experiential, but this is different. And it's really coming out of my work with some people in Norway too, and then with part of a grant or part of a well, it's funded by NIH, but it's a exploration of teaching fact to people in the community that can help people in the community, for example, with diabetes, and looking at some of the data in Norway with the life path class.
Mm.
So it's and that's being used as an intervention for in groups that are for people that are not working and that might possibly be able to return to work or participate in some kind of activity that really plugs them into that
Mm.
very human kind of necessary human experience of being of use, of value, and connected to the community. So I'm really liking that. I've written a manual for the class, and I have participated in the manual wise treatment for in the research, a couple of things, and so it's following the science and putting it into the metaphor that is fun. Yeah.
Cool. It's a really nice metaphor too. It's a big metaphor. That's what I like about it, in the sense that so much can be packed in. It's, you know, it's therefore really versatile. I'm sure that's kind of piqued people's interest to check it out more. Kirk, what's your one and only? Can't be the life path. What's your one and only metaphor you take to Desert Island?
You mentioned Desert Island, I immediately thought of Tom Hanks in Castaway. You know, if you've not seen that movie,
I love it.
It's a beautiful movie. And my sort of metaphorical saying, I guess, for that is, even in a crazy world, there's a life to be lived.
Nice. Yeah. And it, you know, I think his he did live a life there, didn't he? It was pretty intensive, but he did, and he thrived in his own way, and then continued on afterwards that too. Yeah.
And he had his best friend, which was a soccer ball, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. Wilson. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who's going to be your best friend in this crazy world?
Right. I like that. Last question to you each before we finish up. Who's going to play you in the Hollywood Academy Award winning biopic of your life, and why?
Billy Crystal would play Kirk. Yeah.
Oh, really? Nice. And why?
I think fast, funny, and open to the moment. Yeah.
Cool. All right. He's a great actor. I haven't seen him in anything for a while.
Yeah.
Kirk, we'll do the same. Who would play Patty?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Aha. Okay. Great actor.
Bold, beautiful, daring, and deadly.
Okay. Nice. Nice answer and nice alliteration there too. Oh, fantastic. Okay, great. That's the end of my questions. Thanks both so much for answering those. It's been fascinating listening and learning and just hearing what you've had to say. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.